TikTok, it's time to rock. We're never late. We're always on the TikTok rock, on the TikTok block, something like that, aren't we, Rock Professor? What were you doing, Rock Professor?
What's the TikTok block?
Yeah, you were running around the block or something, looking for something.
It was literally just over there.
Oh, literally. He runs around the house. He runs around the house, but finds out what he's looking for is right in front of him. Does that sound familiar to you, anybody?
God.
Apparently that's called man look or a guy look or something. So, Simon was man
hopeless. Literally in front of my eyes.
Oh my Lord!
On top of my amplifier, which is behind my my iPad. But yes, where is it? What's happened to it?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found it because I'll be looking forward to this unboxing. But this is the Sunday show, guys, and we look forward to this. This is a weekly show that we do here.
Dear.
This is the mothership show. This is the flagship show. This is where the graft is done, the hard work is done, and we get the ruler if we don't do things correctly. Is that correct, Brad? We get the ruler,
yes.
We get the whip from the Rock Professor.
100%. Yeah, we get the cane across the hands.
What's this school in the 1970s? things we don't need to go back to for sure.
Oh my Lord! Look, it's good to see you guys. It's always great.
They tried to give me the cane at school once, and I refused to have it. Yeah, it refused. It's a barbaric thing. You're not hitting me with that.
I went to a Catholic high school and a Marist school, and I got the cane a few times. So we didn't have a choice, bro. We had no choice.
Those compassionate Catholic teachers.
Yeah. We had no choice. I can assure you.
Clearly, I had some kind of self-assured that with the. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, my dad had to come. My dad had to come and defend me. That was quite good. He's a very powerful character. My dad. He didn't. He said no. That'll be fine. You won't be hitting him with that.
Good.
Yeah, good. It's great. Yeah. My dad had some funny moments. Once, I'm sorry, I'm going to digress now. But he rang up the head of my sixth form when I was there and said, Simon won't be in school on Monday. I'm taking him to London to see the Turner exhibition, right? Our greatest English painter, Joseph Mallord William Turner. Look him up if you don't know him. One of the world's great painters, our greatest painter, I say. Right. And this bloke said, the head made the huge mistake of suggesting that perhaps this might be detrimental to my education. My dad went off at him like a Roman candle. Like, that is education. Remember he's a composer, so it's like gave him several barrels and he retired hurt.
Oh, fantastic. I look back on some of the things that my old man did for me too when I was growing up, and there were a couple of times too where he stepped in and yeah. It's always good. It's always good when your old man can do that. But good to see you guys. Good to see Brad, the backdoor man. Yeah. We did a great show yesterday, Rock Professor. We mentioned you in Dispatches.
I know. I've seen.
Yes.
It's very pleased.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. We get a tick. Very there, nice. Brad.
Yeah. Well, the Rock Professor's influence is creeping. It's creeping and lurking its way into the 5150 show. So.
Yes.
That shouldn't be allowed, should it?
Oh, look, we're all family. But no, that was a great show. It was fantastic, guys. And if anyone's watching the rerun that watches this show that hasn't participated in what we do over there on this channel with that show, go and check that out, please, because it's something that we look forward to, and we do. It's a little bit different for us here, so check that out. Simon Hosford, otherwise known as Hoss, is a celebrity that we are lucky to have, Brad, aren't we, on the channel? He's a celebrity in music circles, and his information, knowledge, experience is coming through. And I find myself a lot of times, bro, in awe of what he says.
Oh, I have to admit, I think he's a wealth of knowledge. He understands the music properly and better than anyone because he plays it. So, and he can play it damn well. So, you can't get much better than that. And he's so in tune with it all. I could listen to him for hours when he's explaining all the stuff he was talking about yesterday. There was so many things that I was unaware of that he brought our attention. So
that little thing he was talking about, that sliding with the sync. I can't remember, it was the intro to one of the songs, and he was talking about you just do it on one finger and you use it like a slide.
Oh yeah, just with the
open chord,
like,
open chords.
tuning.
Yeah. See,
but So every time I've listened to that song, I've always gone, oh man, I don't know how he's playing that. There's no chance. But Simon just alluded us all to the fact that it was in an open tuning.
A man who does. I think the other thing, I think we forget how lucky we are to have him. He's like, he's got a career and has done some fantastic, played with amazing people. It's just like, slightly a different league to me. That's for sure.
He's a cut above the rest of us. That's for sure.
But he's a lovely.
Well, all I can say, gentlemen, is we should enjoy him and make the most of Hoss while he's here, because you just never know. He's going to be getting job offers from all these other channels. It's one of those things that we do really well here on this channel. So
one hesitates to use the word grooming, but
I'm going to take
mentoring.
We groom them well, boys. We groom them well.
I'm not sure that this is a word we should be using.
Back to work, Rock Professor. You're the one that diverted us away from the work agenda.
I never touched it. Shall I do unboxing first? Let's do unboxing first.
Do an unboxing.
Then we'll say hi to the guys in the chat and do all of that.
And a couple of other shout outs too. I think we've got a couple of shout outs. I'll isolate you. So make sure you smile. Put your smile on.
Be careful not to show all our addresses, bro. So anybody wants to send us, whatever.
They know where you live.
We know where you live. Everyone knows where I live. Yes. So yes, this I got this through the post this week. Look, and I've been brave and not opened it until now. It is a sealed envelope. There we go. Don't know how to open it. Just get violent with it. Reaching deep into the bowels of. Oh, look at that! Fantastic. Are you ready for this? You all ready for this? Look at that. Where is it? Oh no, I'm holding it around the wrong way. I don't understand t-shirts.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you so much. That's fantastic.
I can't believe it finally made it.
I know.
And he sent it before Christmas.
I can't believe you had to send it to me. It's a bit mean, frankly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's fantastic. That's brilliant.
I'm glad you got
beautiful.
it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, really cool. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Oh, look, and a card. A card. Is it a Christmas card?
That's a Christmas card, yeah.
Ah, fantastic. Open it now. Put it up for next year.
It better not be the same. Better not be the same thing you said to me, bro. Better not be.
Lovely. Fantastic. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I'm going to put up my table.
Yeah, well, that was sent well for Christmas, Simon, so I'm glad it finally made it.
Yeah, it finally arrived on the Tuesday or Wednesday or something. But
well, that's good. I'm glad.
Good, fantastic. I think the next job is to say hello to Warren. We should give shout out to Warren, our mate Warren. hope you're all right, mate. Hope you're doing well. We look forward to seeing you back in our chats very soon.
Yeah.
Because this is where you belong.
We miss your
yeah
cheeky comments and all the stuff that you usually do that alludes us to all being rat bags here on the channel.
Well, that's fantastic. So I hope you're doing all right. Leave us a message in the comments. We know you. So we know you're there.
Yeah. If you're in the chat, make sure you give us a comment. Shall we do a bit of a shout out to everyone in the chat, Andrew? Good time?
Yeah, good time.
Good time? Do it? All right. Well, I'll do it. I'll take it on. Tim Thomas. We've got Teresa. We've got John ZD351. Good to see you, John. We've got
John.
Hugh. We've got Wolfgang 5150. We have
Wolfgang from Japan. Sorry to interrupt, brother. Good to see you, Wolfgang.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We've got Arvin. We've got Helena O'Hara. We've got I'm just going backwards. We've got some rat bag called Simon Williams. I don't think he's going to get timed out this week because he's leading it, so we can't time him out. And of course,
I might get timed out.
Yeah, well, we've got the timeout button ready, Andrew. We've got the timeout button, but of course, we've got Ellen Vorich, my mother. Happy birthday, Mum, for tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Ellen!
Everyone in the chat, it's her birthday tomorrow, so give her a bit of a.
Hope you get cake.
Yeah, make her some cake and pour yourselves a drink and cheers, Mum. There you go. Happy birthday.
The day before my youngest daughter, who's 16 on the 1st of February. So
if you look at the bottom of the screen there.
Yes.
There you go.
Look at that.
Thank you, Ellen, for your support. Your support is wonderful. We never take anyone's support for our channel lightly. It's always a wonderful thing and it's a humbling thing. But to have you guys join us weekly and share comments on our videos when they go up on YouTube, it's fantastic. Thank you. And we do certainly, as Brad said, and the Rock Professor, we wish you well. And it was nice meeting you at Christmas time too, catching up with you, albeit through StreamYards, but we do wish you well. Don't get into trouble.
Too much trouble.
Too much trouble.
Too much trouble.
A bit of trouble.
A little trouble is just fine.
There you go.
Oh dear. Fantastic. Well, yes, have a lovely day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. That's cool. So, shall we begin, gentlemen?
Do it. Let's do it.
This is I have a little bit of background. I have a list of bands that I think are in the genre of what we do a bit, and Status Quo are one of those bands. I think, and this is interesting that Andrew's not really. I mean, they are a very English band, Status Quo. And I don't know whether they did much in Australia. They never really cracked America at all as a band. I think they had a go, but eventually I think they just retired to the UK and Europe. So, but they are one of my earliest. I'm having a. You get this for pretentious. I'm having a bit of a Proustian moment with this album because this is the first 5 albums I bought, along with of course Jethro Tull's Aqualung and Focus 3, and this, and I remember putting this on. I remember the thrill of when I first played this, of the thrill of that kind of rock and roll, which clearly Aqualung is not, and neither is Focus 3, if anyone knows the Dutch band Focus. They're much more sort of proggy sort of thing. But so this was like, and I remember the kind of visceral thrill of this album when I was 14 years old, of that sort of straight ahead rock and roll, 12-bar boogie we could talk about, that is the basis of this album. But so I have I have tremendous history with this record. As I say, it's the first Status Quo record I ever bought. I saw them a couple of times, and they were always amazing live. And they just had that live thing, you know, everybody jumping about and boogieing the whole. You know, I remember being on the balcony in Bristol, the Colson Hall, and it had literally going up and down with people jumping around and stuff. And one of the times I saw them supported by Montrose. Montrose supporting them on one of their things, yeah, with Ronnie Montrose and Sammy Hagar. So I have seen it. They're good too, but yeah, fantastic live band, and that's where they really cemented their relationship with their reputation was in the live arena. But yeah, as I say, not really anywhere else other than the UK, and I think they're pretty big in Europe a bit as well, but not America and not particularly anywhere else, I don't think. So I'm not surprised, Andrew, if they passed you by, except for maybe the odd single like Sweet Caroline and stuff.
Well, here in Australia, I think the album that got me into Status Quo was one called 12 Gold Bars.
Yeah, that's right, the hits one.
A compilation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And always used to listen to that as a kid, actually. It was always in the house. But that was I've always enjoyed their music, and I've always enjoyed the band. Then they weren't necessarily huge here in Australia, from my understanding, but they did sell their songs to a supermarket chain here called Coles. So you know, down, deeper down, became down, prices are down, which is always a bit of a joke in Australia. And then they actually they went. What's the other song they did? Coles did. I can't remember what it was. It was maybe John ZD351 might remember, or someone here in the chat from Australia might remember. They did down, prices are down, and then what was it? Whatever you want. It's like, anyway, I'm sorry to.
Yeah, well, it is whatever you want. I mean, that's what it's called. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
He pays it money. It takes the choice. Yeah.
Sorry to take over there, Simon, but
no, it's fantastic. Well, it's interesting to see because, you know, as I say, I've always think of them as being a particularly, you know, British band and really here as well. But John's saying they did well down in Australia. I'm sure if they toured, people would go see them because, as I say, they had a reputation for a tremendous live concerts. They were great live, I'd have to say, you know, because that 12-bar kind of boogie thing that they do better than anyone else. You know, with, kind of, you know, almost kind of unique in the way that they did it. But you know, in a live context, it was always great. You know, you could always dance to Status Quo, absolutely. You know, and so Andrew, what about you? Have you clearly they sort of passed you by, Status Quo?
Absolutely. I don't know, as I was saying to the guys in the green room, everybody in the chat, I don't know anything about Status Quo. I'm not familiar with them other than the two songs that Brad mentioned. My attention to them became a little bit clearer when they were on the, you know, what's that big Wembley gig that
Live
they
Aid,
did?
Live Aid.
Live Aid.
Live
Aid.
Yeah.
You know, because I was watching Live Aid for a lot of other bands, like a lot of us back then, and Status Quo were on. And Simon and Brad, they kind of blew me away. You know, I was looking at some guys there that were rocking, you know, but I've got some opinions that I want to share with you guys about Status Quo, just through me listening to this album, because I like I said, Simon, I know absolutely nothing about the band. I know that Francis is the lead singer. I don't know who the other guys are in the band, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this band.
Yeah. I have prepared a short history of Status Quo for because I thought it might be useful to you get an idea about where they come from and stuff. You know, a bit of context.
Sure. Can we just do one thing though, bro? Before you do that, want to do a special shout out to Sonia because she's just jumped into the chat. Morning, Sonia.
How you
doing? Get well, Sonia.
Yeah.
And she's had some family issues with family members passing on, and passing by. Yeah. So we're always thinking of you too, Sonia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sending our love to you, Sonia. Hope you're all right.
Cool.
Yeah. Good.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. Just good, tremendous shout. So, yeah. So I thought I'd do just a quick history, just to kind of, as I say, because if you haven't particularly, and I think there's lots of bands on my list that are worthy. We can, this probably is, the first album where they got it together properly, where it became the blueprint of what they do. Later on, we'll have a look at some other albums later on. Quite good, but as I say, this is where I came in, which is why I chose it as an album. But like I said, so they formed in 1962, so they're definitely a band of the 60s, and they were called the Scorpions at their local school, clearly before the Scorpions, and it was basically Francis Rossi, who's the the one with the green guitar, the green Telecaster, and Alan Lancaster, who's the bass player, who just died recently. He died not long ago, and he lives in Australia for a lot of years as well. So, and they had they had basically classmates who played keyboards and drums. So they did some gigs, schoolboy type gigs, and in '63 they were replaced by John Coughlin, who's the drummer on this. So he became the drummer for a lot of years. In fact, he still tours with his own version of Status Quo, John Coughlin. But so they got John Coughlin and they changed their name to the Spectres. And they did some various bits and pieces, got a manager, and played around London, various clubs and spots around London. And then had some lineup changes. And in '65, they met Rick Parfitt, who's the other guitar player. And clearly Parfitt and Rossi became close, and they started writing their own material for the first time. I think they'd been a covers band up until then. And they had a song out called "Hurdy Gurdy Man" by Alan Lancaster, written by Alan Lancaster, which I thought, blimey, it's a Donovan song, but arranged by John Paul Jones. But no, completely different song, completely different thing. In '67, they sort of they decided to call themselves Traffic. But that didn't work because clearly they had Steve Winwood to fight about who was going to call their bands Traffic. So they didn't do that, and so they settled in '67 for the Status Quo. I think they knocked off the after a bit, but they and clearly they had a hit with Down the Dustpipe, which is quite a sort of psychedelic sort of pop song, really. Not really like what they do stuff on here very much, but so they had two relatively poor selling albums, Mark Kelly's Greasy Spoon, Dog of Two Heads, and but this was their major breakthrough. They signed for a progressive rock label called Vertigo, and this was their first release in 1972. And as I said earlier, this kind of is the template for what they did over the next 10 years, really. In fact, all the way through their career, this is kind of the template for that. And and it sorry, bit of a early morning, not much sleep. So they recorded it in Pi Studios and IBC Studios, sorry, and recording it, and I think you can tell they recorded it live at stage volume kind of thing.
Yep.
Which is, as I say, where their strength is, was in their live performance, and I think lots of this album reflects what they did live, in the way they played together, dynamics, all of those things. We can get into that. So yes, and as I say, for me, it's it takes me back to when I was 14 and that kind of that rush of hearing that particular style of rock and roll, clearly kind of based on the 50s stuff, but heavier and their own thing. And I think there were other boogie bands, but they were like the ones who really did it, and they had hit singles and and were chart toppers and things, and played all the venues that they played, and were great, fantastic. So we'll start with side one, track one. You know me, always on side one, track one.
Yeah.
And the first track, the opening track, is "Don't Waste My Time," which is written by Francis Rossi and a guy called Bob Young, who Francis Rossi, at this time, he did some collaboration, quite a lot of collaborating, and the harmonica you hear is Bob Young. Unless he played harmonica on these. But not quite sure who played the piano on this, but there is a piano in the background, the deep background of it. So, I think this, Andrew, you mentioned it yesterday, and I'm going to mention it again today. This song is the manifesto for Quo for the next 5 years. They absolutely that is and that then that thing they do it run down in A and then they go to the D chord. That's classic Status Quo, what they did, and that kind of boogie is fantastic, and as I say, gives me a Proustian rush to when I hear that, and off they go into it. It's into that classic Quo boogie of it's not quite a 12 bar. There's some there's always the Quo little bits going on, that not quite straight 12 bar, but clearly based on a 12 that 12 bar. I think recorded live in the studio, you get a tremendous energy from it. The fizz, when they roll into it, and great sort of great solo, pentatonic lick solo. And that's what people played then, as and I think looking back, it's not the most electric, but it fits what they do perfectly as a thing. And I think that Parfit and Rossi really fit together. In that rhythm section, you can hear them play. Parfit plays different stuff. He doesn't play that always just that 12 bar. He'll play a kind of different rhythm to it, which you can listen to, which is so, and a classic ending as well. Type of ending, which makes me smile. So I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 and never a skip, and I think it's a great opening song. Great fun.
50-year-old album this year, so rock and roll never dies, does it? It sounds just as good as it did, Simon, I suppose, when you heard it 50 years ago. But look, I've got to tell you, there's a couple of things that I like about the song. Obviously, when I first heard the song, it was familiar to me, being a blues guitarist and a rock and roll fan. You know, that Chuck Berry chug, the shuffle, that we're all familiar with, Brad, that we all love leaning into. It's great. It's comfortable. It's something familiar. Simon, it's like fitting a hand into your favorite golf glove if you play golf, if you know what I mean. It's something like that, and not often can bands do that very well, and they got me. They got me within the first 30 seconds of it because I felt comfortable with it and appreciated it for what it was. When I did a bit of research, I do remember seeing them again, as I said to you guys before at the top of the show, at Live Aid, and sort of hatched a plan there of where I'd seen them. Look, Simon, I agree with you. I agree with you that these guys have got, I'm not going to use the word, Brad, formula, but they've got this blueprint which they want to do, which fits into their British audiences. And Simon, this is something that British musicians don't mind doing. They don't mind doing that. They're not really they're not interested in what, the critics have to say or whatever. If the fans are liking it, that's what counts. But before I pass it on to Brad, I'm going to say one thing to you, Rock Professor. Again, British guys taking that black 12-bar blues and transforming it and making it distinctly different. Again, Brad, that Status Quo. Gotta take my hat off to them. Simon, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. I think it's a great Great opening track.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, guys. Look, I think this is a great opening track. Immediately it's recognizable, that they have a sound. This album, obviously I've heard 12 Golden Bars and then gone back and listened to these albums in the past. And I'll be honest, I'm being completely honest. I'm glad Simon picked this one because I haven't listened to it for many years now. It's been a long time. But immediately recognizable as Status Quo. So yeah, this is where they sort of founded that 12-bar chug in their unique way. It's definitely not. I don't think anyone else plays that shuffle the way they do. So they have an immediate sort of recognizable sound. The vocals are swaggering along. The BVs are great. Some great solos. Both of the solos are great. They follow the chord progressions really well. The breakdown sections, they add lots of color, and they break up that 12-bar feel, that typical 12-bar sort of blues thing. They break up that boredom by doing that. My only gripe about the song would be the mix. I would love to hear a little bit more drums up front. I'm just a bit of a drum up front guy. But you're taking into account, when it's recorded and it was their first record on the new label and whatnot. But I have to agree with Andrew here. I've given it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed listening to this, and it's never a skip for me.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's been remastered. I mean, to me, you're right. That's that classic thing. You're recording in 1972 on tape. Not everything can be louder than everything else. And what tended to happen was the drums would always drop back against the guitars, basically.
Yeah.
But so I know what you mean. It's you feel like it could do with a slight remix, and it's like.
Unfortunately for me, I'm stuck in that. Led Zeppelin mode, and I like drums up front a bit, but that's just me. It's not necessarily right. It's just what my ears like to hear. Maybe it's all the Marshall amp damage that's happened to me over the years. I like to hear the drums up front.
No, I think that's right. And I think these days, you look at it from, the ears that you've got from all the intervening, music that you've listened to, where, now you're able to have, spread it all out and, have things where you want them in a way that you probably couldn't, especially if you're recording live in the studio. Back then, as we know, it's kind of a bit more what you got is what you got. Any kind of pre-production stuff, any kind of effects, any kind of stuff, had to be put on beforehand, not put on afterwards. And then, with mixing to tape, you had to pick out, which was going to be at the front and which was going to be not so in the front. Because that's how those things work. But that's it. As I say, for me, it takes me back that 40 minutes. It was such fun, I think that's what they they took that, as Andrew said, that rock and roll thing and turned it into something a bit different, a bit heavier and a bit, but kind of uniquely their own. And so always love Status Quo, and it's one of those classic things that I think, and the critics here used to say, oh yeah, 3-chord wonders, blah blah blah. All they do is, because clearly they never tried to play it. Because when you try to play it, it's quite a lot harder than it appears to start with, especially to be that tight with 2 guitars and stuff. It's difficult. So I take my hat off to them, and I've always loved it on that kind of visceral level as much as anything else. So anyway, on to track 2, Oh Baby. Again, another kind of with that fade in on the thing, not quite a 12-bar blues thing, and they get into their own particular Status Quo boogie groove, with the solo, and then they replay the guitar figure, and I like some Alan Lancaster's guitar bass chords as well, which are really cool in it as well towards the end. But it's a classic wall of sound from those dual tellies. Although I think Rick Parfitt did play other stuff as well. I've seen pictures of him with an SG and things, so I'm not sure that. But my memory of seeing them live was they both played tellies. Francis Rossi played the green one, and Rick Parfitt had the cream one. So I don't think it's again. Another kind of manifesto song. This is what we do. This is what we sound like. It's based on our live sound. This is what we're doing. 9 out of 10 from me. Never a skip.
I loved the intro, Simon. I thought the intro. I had to go back and bear in mind, guys, I've never listened to this on vinyl, so the intro is a little bit deceptive, isn't it? Because I thought, jeepers, maybe I've fiddled around with my volume control and just realised actually, yeah. So it was a nice touch. Great for the song, and I'm glad that you mentioned. I'm just reading my notes here. The bass and drums particularly play really, really well. So Brad made a criticism on the first song about the bass and drums being a little bit buried in that first opening track, and I've got to agree with him because that's a point that I made too. Well, they come through here on this, so they've done well there. So they're obviously articulating the band in different ways, because there's a couple of other tracks where the bass and drums are doing really, really well too. So, Simon, I've given this a 9 out of 10. Nice song in their style. Starting to warm, I'll be honest and upfront, starting to warm up on the second track to Francis's vocals. I'm starting to become familiar with them.
Yes. He's not necessarily the strongest singer in the world and stuff, but he has a particular voice, and they seem to do that quite a lot of double tracking of it and things. So yeah, it seems to work, And I never thought, it's like I suppose then you don't go around thinking, oh, these are great singing. You just go, that's status quo. That's what they do. That's the sound of it. And if you suddenly, I don't know, got a big baritone in there or something, or if it wouldn't quite sound right to sort of. It kind of fits in, and I don't. It's funny, isn't it? That what you listen to that you just accept as being the thing, and then if people point out, you go, well, possibly, but it's never affected my enjoyment of what they did, and particularly, but so yeah, great stuff.
What did you rank it, Andrew?
9 out of 10.
9
out of 10. I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well. I gave it away, but darker. It's got a darker feel to this song. Still has that status quo sound to me. Great dual vocals, and the drums and bass are really holding it down tight. Some really classy soloing. The guitar tones to me are really raw, really, but they're defined. Like you can really hear them really well. It's a very tight performance. And at times, this might make people sort of, their jaw drop at me saying this, but at times, very Sabbathy to me, Black Sabbathy at times in this song. There's a few moments there I was like, wow, this could be, song. So, I guess the era, maybe there was a slight influence there. Who knows? But 9 out of 10 for me, and never a skip.
I have a feeling that weren't Black Sabbath were on Vertigo as well, weren't they? Record label.
I think they were Vertigo. Yeah. I don't know. Just there's little moments, especially towards the end. I could really tell, especially on the outro and things. I was thinking, man, that could be a Sabbath song, or that Sabbath could have borrowed from there. Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, I think they'll probably come from the same source, aren't they? It's that kind of but Sabbath had morphed it into very much their own thing, but still. There's the pentatonic bit and the thing. But I agree. Yes, that's the interesting bit, is that how tight they are, isn't it? I mean, and that's really one of their things, is how tight they play together. Lancaster and Coughlin as the rhythm section, and the two guitars. Yeah, absolutely. Because that was done live. It's it's fantastic. Yeah, cool. So. Okay, track 3. This is where the divergence happens from the kind of. This is what I would call this is quite a sort of quirky song, really. But I think this is what they've done a bit more in the past. This is a bit more Battle Links. If you listen to Down the Dustpipe, it's a much more kind of poppy melodic thing than the straightforward sort of boogie of the first 2 tracks. An Alan Lancaster song, who wrote it about. He remembered somebody close to him who died 12 months ago. So that was what the year is that had gone. And interestingly, they say, and we'll get to this, but that some of it, the song is influenced by early Beatles work, like Beatles influence everywhere, and I think you can clearly hear that in some of the stuff they do on here, very Beatlesque in the way that it's put together. We've got Jay in the chat. Is he? Morning, Jay. He is. Hey now. So I think but the other thing that reminds me, the intro reminds me that kind of quite acoustic. That reminds me of Led Zeppelin. I could hear Led Zeppelin every time I play. I'm going, that sounds like a Led Zeppelin song.
Stop stealing my bloody notes.
Sorry, I'll let you talk about it in more detail.
It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Carry on.
It didn't only strike me then. That's good, I sometimes wonder, are you just imagining it, Simon? Is it
no?
No, thank you. Somebody else.
No.
My esteemed colleague, Mr. Walton, has also possibly spotted this as a thing. It's quite a delicate song, quite a whimsical song, really, in many ways, and not like the sort of bludgeoning of the first two tracks, which are clearly very heavy. That kind of double track vocals, and I like the arrangements as well that they do. They're not afraid to be kind of like quite light and quite whimsical and quite, and completely different, and have that kind of Beatlesque middle eight with the swirly keyboards and stuff, and the harmonies that they sing, things. It's and the way that they build it up and then break it down a bit and just have that dynamics to it that I think make it work, really well as a song, even though it's quite different, to the previous two. I think there's definitely Beatles influence in there, and as I say, the fronting. So I'll give this 8.5 out of 10. Never a skip.
Okay, so Simon, I when I heard this song, I immediately thought of Brad for two reasons. Brad is clearly the Led Zeppelin guru here on the channel, followed closely by you. Wait a minute. You two can fight. You two can fight about where you guys situate on.
I don't want to fight with Simon, mate. He's got a lot more wisdom, and I'm sure
he's young and got muscles. That's not happening.
He's got guns.
He's got guns. It's not happening. I'm running away. I can't run anymore. He just kill me anyway.
But I also thought about Brad too when I heard this song, because Brad always likes to make connections when he hears songs to other songs or to other bands, which is always something unique what we do here as co-hosts, but I have to steal a bit of Brad's thunder here. When I heard the song, I just immediately thought of Led Zeppelin. I and listened to it again and became convinced of it. At that 4-minute mark, that solo with the drums is what Led Zeppelin do. It's John Paul Jones. John Bonham. Sorry. Again, skillful musicians, Brad. Very skillful musicians to be able to do that, and again to do that live too. So they're either really, really skillful, or they're playing their live set, Simon, which is probably what they're doing. They've probably been playing this song for a long time. I
think it's both. Clearly, Francis Rossi, they've been playing here. Already been playing for 10 years, different styles, different things. I mean, as I said earlier, it's one of the things about them is how tight they are and how together they are and how they can interplay with each other. Yes.
Yeah. So I was quite surprised by this song. And we've been doing this show for a couple of years now, and we're not surprised when we see other influences come through. In fact, what we probably appreciate. I appreciate that now more doing these shows with you guys, how we can see that, how we can situate artists, and no one's stealing off anybody. They're just obviously hearing what they're hearing. Brad mentioned it before on the other song, some kind of Black Sabbath influence going, which is what Brad does. So he's hearing this, situating that, bringing that forward. I can't argue. Can't argue against that. I think it's a great song, Simon. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Smart, clever song.
Yeah.
Brad.
Yeah. Look, the Zeppelin influence I heard for sure.
Hey, Johnny.
I'm not surprised that you brought that up, Andrew. But the other one I can hear is like you were saying, Simon. There's a Beatles vibe going on here, and the chord progression could almost sound like "While My Guitar Gently Weeps." If you have a listen.
Yeah.
So you know, there's some wonderful vocal harmonies as well. You kind of get lost in this song, like in the music. You sort of forget what you're sort of doing, and you're just sort of listening, which is really cool. Lots of light and shade in the song, which is something I always really enjoy. And the solo is fitting and really tasty. And I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well, Andrew. Never a skip for me.
Awesome. Rock Professor.
Yeah. Interesting. So track 4 is Unspoken Words, which again is a Francis Rossi and Bob Young thing. And this is the sort of the classic slow blues, isn't it? You know, that I wrote down, yes, Rossi can play the blues. It's I'd sort of forgotten this was on here. It's funny, isn't it? How, you know, that kind of slow blues thing that they did. Actually, you know, it's a kind of mid-tempo blues song with kind of lots of solos in it and stuff. I think it's quite pentatonic, but actually quite effective. I thought it was really effective. I really like this as a song. I think it's a really good track 4. You know, they're clearly stretching out, you know, doing different things. And as I say, it's not that kind of bit more open, bit more slow blues. I don't associate with them, and as I said, I'd sort of forgotten that it was on this album. So it was really nice, you know, really nice surprise when it turned up, and I think it's great. I think it's really good. I think, you know, they do it really well. Again, you know, they understand how it works. There's a nice bit of organ playing in the mix just to bolster the sound, but I think Rossi does a great job of, you know, emotional guitar playing. You know, I think, you know, he does have that. He can do it, and I like that that they do a fast and a slow bit, and they vary the tempo of what he's actually doing and stuff, you know, within a song, which is, you know, classic those bands that came up through the 60s, you know, and we've talked about Humble Pie and all those, you know, that you didn't have many effects, so what you did was dynamics. You know, if you were doing a 5-minute song, you had to have a dynamic, an arc to it and stuff like that. I think this does. I think this works really well. I think that I've really enjoyed it. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. You know, yes, you know, awesome. I think it fits that first side really nicely. And good news, it's only 4 tracks a side. Get in.
Unspoken Words. Look, I love the tone. I've got an 18 nice tone. Love that blues intro. It's fantastic. Brad, the bass is coming through really, really well on this song. Love it. And it takes a prominent position in the mix, the bass. So we always love that. We love hearing a bit of that bottom end coming through. Again, you know, as the Rock Professor said, you know, they've either mic'd it differently or, you know, they've done something differently, you know, to have that come through. So they're very clear on what they're trying to get through on tape. They're not just reproducing their live gig with mics in a set position and they're playing through. They are fiddling. There's some engineering, Brad, going on, which I like because they are thinking about it. Clearly, Simon, they're listening back to tapes, I think, you know, and trying to get something going on. Yeah. So even in a live position for them to do that, to try and get something going through, I can hear that. I commend them for it. Look, you guys know me. I'm a blues nut. I'm a blues man. It's all I know. I love it. And hearing this just gave me goose skin, gave me chicken skin. I'm going to give this 11 out of 10. It's a standout track on the album for me.
Where do you think his influences are from for this track? Do you think it's Clapton-esque? Peter Green?
No, not at all. So I'm glad you said that. If anything, I'm going to say, and Brad's either going to back me up or kick me up the bum. Could be Jeff Beck. Could be a bit of Beck going on there. I think could be
the telly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. But certainly doing something his own. But again, I take my hat off to these skinny British Italian guys, because Francis, the and being able to reproduce a classic blues, a music form that we all love and we can all do. And I can imagine all these 16, 17, 15-year-old boys and girls in the UK all playing along to this stuff when they bought the album, Simon, which is even better. Brad.
Wow, that was a really good rundown of the song, Andrew. I don't know how to follow that. Look, I really enjoy this one as well. I mean, I'm a sucker for the blues, like you guys, and these guys just know how to do it well. They stepped away from that chug that they normally do, which is, it's almost like they've just revisited their roots by just doing a nice blues song. In my opinion, it's really mellow. It's a nice wound down and rolled off tones there on the guitars. Corporate, some wonderful playing, wonderful licks, some really tasty blues feel on the lead licks. Jeff Beck, Yardbirds sort of thing. I can hear that there 100%. I actually heard sort of leaning towards like that same sort of thing with Clapton in the Yardbirds as well. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but
I did write down a bit I felt like it was a bit Clapton-esque, which is why I raised it. As and you're right, in the Yardbirdsy sense, not in the sort of later sense, not in John Mayall's bluegrass and stuff. But that's the telly.
Can hear that sort of bite thing as well. Look, some really laid back vocals. I like how the song picks up, builds a bit of tension, then drops again, then picks up again. Like the dynamics, the light and shade in the song. There's some juicy guitar tones. The bass playing, like you said, it's standing out there, Andrew. It's great. Some great playing. Drums are really holding it tight. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. And I love the blues. So any band that dabbles in the blues, I'm always going to rate pretty high, unless they do it really badly.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it's interesting that as I say, I hadn't sort of really picked up on it. And when I came to it, and you go, it's actually really good. I was sort of, as I say, because I'd sort of forgotten, that they could do that and they could do it well as well. Which, as you say, is always the art. Don't want to be rubbish at it. Do you? But, I think clearly they knew what they did. But good. Okay, so that's the end of side one. Andrew, should we show some pictures? I sent some pictures to Andrew, so we thought we'd have a look at just if you were not that familiar with the mighty status quo.
Hold on, mate. Hold on, I'll get them up.
Run them up. I'm glad you've enjoyed this album.
It's been great.
One to pull out and investigate a bit. It's a bit more, bit more underground than some of the things you've done, especially Rumours last week. I thought a week before, 2 weeks ago. And Led Zeppelin too.
It's good to visit albums that, especially ones like this one I haven't heard in many years. So it's always good to pull those out and dust them off and give them a run.
Yeah, absolutely. See if they stand up again and see what they've got. Here we go.
You look at them with fresh ears and eyes and all that as well.
So I put this in first, and clearly it's the cover of Power Drive, but that is status quo. If in a picture, that is status quo. That is what I remember them playing live. That three guys together in the front, head shaking, giving it the boogie. And that is status quo in a picture. That's what they did. That's what they were renowned for in the 70s. When we went to see them, that's what they did, and it was fantastic. It really was fantastic. There they are, 4 guys. So in top left is Francis Rossi, top right is Rick Parfitt, the 2 guitar players. Then the bottom right is Alan Lancaster, and bottom left is John Coglan, the drummer. So That's just a pitch, just the four of them as a thing. So yeah, there we go. Another classic Quo pose. You can see that Rick Parfitt plays way up the neck a lot. So Francis Rossi's playing down the neck. You can see down at the cowboy chords end, and Rick Parfitt's doing the octave thing at the thing. That's what they did a lot. That's one of their trademark things, and varying the rhythm as well. But yes, that is Status Quo live. As you can see, exciting. And this is Francis Rossi's classic green telly, which sort of retired because it started falling apart. You can see the hole behind the bridge. That's because he was trying to find a way of making the lead stay and not pull the lead out from the socket. So he drilled a hole through it. I think my memory is that it's a 65 telly or something like that. It's not a 50s one or anything. So, oh yeah. So he stripped it all off, painted it various other colours before he painted it green and stuff, poster paints and all that stuff.
So notice the bridge system that he has on there. That's not traditionally a Telecaster bridge system. It looks like it's a Gibson bridge system. So that's interesting in itself.
Yes, and you'll notice there's a load of just plain wood round the pickup. It shaved it off or something. Oh yeah, this guitar has seen. I think you got a 5-way switch on it as well. But this guitar, completely utilitarian view of this guitar. Yeah, it's a tool, and I'm going to bash it around and drill a hole through it and anything I like to kind of, I mean, he has said, I saw a thing where he said that it's not a great guitar. He said, it really isn't a great guitar, but he said, somehow me and that guitar, there's a magic to it. And he said, even though I've played better guitars, I've got better guitars, but somehow that is the one, in a weird way, that is not, not to do with how easy it is to play, because it isn't very. He said it's just not a very good guitar, really.
No, there's it's like that thing. You get a connection with an instrument, and it's hard to play anything else.
Yeah, fantastic. But yeah, it's funny. So there they are. That classic wide-legged stance is very Status Quo, together and stuff. As you can see, Rick Parfitt's not playing a telly there. He's playing a looks like a Les Paul Junior, isn't it? A Junior? I think it's a Junior. So yeah, classic, no nonsense. As you know, flashy backdrops and stuff like that, and things. And there they are in the classic pose a bit later with the green telly and the cream telly, which is I would say their trademark look. The two of them together. As you can see, they're playing in the same place on the neck on that, but very much able to play in unison together, and there is an art to two guitarists playing, so that it fits together. It's almost like one thing, but there he is, the mighty Rick Parfitt with his green telly.
I have to say they're a real motley looking crew, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah. Well, I think you could say that Rick Parfitt is the pretty boy of the band. That may or may not be saying something. There's Francis Rossi with hair, and look at that jacket. Come on.
All right.
It's quite an extraordinary jacket, I feel, and with the sound sitting out. I mean, basically that's 412, some sort of Marshall-esque, and a 412 thing. Although I think they used to, in the studio, they played Voxes a lot as well, AC30s. So that sound is quite Voxy.
Do you know what they used? Do you know what they used on this album?
Well, I think they used tellies and Voxes, Vox AC30s to do the recording. But I think live they had, when I saw them, they certainly had Marshall. They had stacks, 412s and that. So
I've got something. Someone in the chat might be able to look this up. Do these guys come out before Spinal Tap, or did Spinal Tap come out before these?
Oh,
guys?
no, way before Spinal Tap. Spinal Tap is early 80s, I think.
Yeah. So I'm not sure when Spinal Tap came out, but I should know probably, but I don't. But I'm saying that I reckon Spinal Tap might have modeled some of their look on these guys.
Spinal Tap is 84, so okay. Way past this thing. But yeah, I mean, that classic kind of blue jeans and and a shirt, with t-shirt and stuff, and there's Alan Lancaster, with his Fender bass. That's how they were, and I think it's it's that that kind of in those days. If you think about some people played did stage costumes. Like Jimmy Page had his dragon suit and all of that. But most bands you went to see wore jeans, jean shirts, denim shirts, or t-shirts. And that's what they wore. It's kind of, the uniform, which kind of identified you with that. I've seen that there's a classic Status Quo, jeans and kind of, t-shirts and stuff. And, Franz Ross has got his trademark waistcoat on, which is quite often his trademark thing. And you can see the stack. You can see the stack of Voxes in the back. Can you see the Voxes in the back? So it was Rick Parfitt. But yeah, so it's an identification with your audience. It's that kind of uniform. And in the early 70s, that was the uniform of the rock band and the rock fan, really. Great coats as well. Ex-naval greatcoats and things. Or possibly Afghan coats if you were out there. But for most of us, I had a big sort of navy blue, double-breasted, ex-naval jacket, coat. Sort of down to your knees kind of thing, really heavy. It's a fantastic coat, actually. Don't know what I did with it. That's John Coghlan playing his drums in his own inimitable way. He's very much on the beat, every beat, isn't he? You'll notice.
Yep.
yeah, it's fantastic. But fits in with what they do. Fits in how how it works, and played with them for years. So yeah, just a few pictures just to give you an idea about. Who the Quo are, and what they did. Sadly, what they don't really do anymore, but what they did in that early 70s period in their heyday, that 72 to 76, 77 thing, when they were,
always
fantastic.
Always good to look at the pictures. It sets a bit of a vibe.
Yeah. And you can see that the simplicity of it. It really feeds into what we talk about in the uniform, the jeans and stuff. It's all very kind of basic. They didn't have flashy light shows and backdrops and films and all of that. No, I they used to say there was a parody of them done. It was called Heads Down, No Nonsense, Mindless Boogie. I wouldn't say mindless, but that the no nonsense bit, absolutely. I think but as we've seen. There's more subtlety in there than that might first appear, and I think more subtlety than maybe the critics gave them at the time, or indeed since. But they were always a favourite of mine because. Thank you, Ellen. Just a few things to. So anyway, rolling along onto side 2. You know how I like sides and vinyl and that. So the first track on side 2 is Big Fat Mama. Again, this is a real kind of side 2 opener. So it's got big riff played by Rossi and Parfitt together to start. That kind of twin guitars playing, and then off into their classic Quo boogie, and the sound of the telly into the Vox right there, and that it's really steady drums from John Conn. It's quite primal, isn't it? I think it's that it has a primality to it that is that my 14-year-old self clearly was thrilled by in a way. It wasn't flash. He doesn't do flash stuff, but nails it down and keeps it moving. And that thing I've talked a bit about here. That thing about being able to dance to it. I've talked. The other day I was talking about going to this club called Tiffany's on a Wednesday night that did rock night. A Status Quo staple of that. You stick on a Status Quo song, the dance floor is full, kind of thing. people rolling about. They had a really funny dance as well. The Status Quo later on. You can go look it up, where you did this kind of thing, like this kind of thing. I don't think it had a name, but but yeah, so, got a bass solo as well. That tremendous. Alan Lancaster gets his chance to he plays the opening riff, and then he's joined by the guitars, so they all do it together. And then you've got that drop down, and then you've got those harmony guitar lines that they play that I think are really cool. It's classic Status Quo, that. And then you've got that into that classic 12 bar after 3.5 minutes, a completely different bit. I got a big fat, I know, really, and that is quintessential Status Quo. And I think there's a tremendous visceral thrill in that bit in the "Say You Need Me" section, and near the end and stuff. I just 10 out of 10 for me, never a skip. It's got that thing, and then what an opener to side 2 in my books.
Yeah. Look, I agree, Simon. Did you rank it?
10 out of 10, never a skip.
Yeah, Big Fat Mama, shaking that tree rocker. I love it. It's fantastic. When we flick through the photos, the rock professor was showing you where the guitar players in the band were playing one up and one down, guitar chords and an octave up. This is a classic example. The interplay between the guitars on this song is a standout on this album. You can clearly hear it. It's something that Keith Richards, who is the master and one of the biggest proponents of guitar interweaving, would be jealous of, I'm sure. Exceptional example of it, Brad. Exceptional example. And because of that, I have to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it was a great way to start the second side, a solid opener for the second side. Back to a bit of a belting rocker, like Status Quo styles predominant in that, the twin guitars, like Andrew was saying. I really loved the drums and bass in this song, are very solid. Liked the middle section, the bass and the guitars playing the same lines as well as the other, like the two guitars and the bass, all unison but in different octaves, which is something that they did so well. Yeah, a great mellow solo at first. The second solo is tearing it along really, really great. I love the way the song ends as well. It's a very unusual rock ending, but then it ends on the big, typical cock rock ending as well. So, look, I gave it a 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip for me.
Such fun, isn't it? I think in many ways it is that kind of that indicative of that early 70s thing where it's not really so much about the lyrics and stuff. It is about the groove and about the the boogie and about the playing and just doing it and stuff, which I think is never not necessarily not a bad thing. So I think the second track on here is the single off the album, Paper Plane. I'm sure hopefully a lot of people know Paper Plane. Again, it's kind of classic Quo where it's a 12 bar, but it's just got those bits in it that make those sort of rundowns and just those things that distinguish it from just playing a 12 bar all the way through. Rick Parfitt, of course, yes, the pin-up boy of Status Quo. It's it's about the $3,000 Deutsche car they talk about is a Mercedes that they bought to ferry themselves around in. So it's about being out on tour, but it's got that harmonic solo between the two guitars again, that they play, and it's a piece of classic Quo, and that for me, it's absolutely one of their classic songs. I think it's got enough to keep it interesting. It's a sharp song. And it's a 10 out of 10 for me and never a skip. Oh, I love it, and that visceral thrill when it comes in. It's like, yay! You know what you're getting, and you know where you're going.
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. There's nothing wrong with that because it's what a band has as its signature. And look, I have to agree with you. I think it's a great song. What I like about this song in particular, and there's a few other examples of it on this track, is that you can distinctly hear the chord changes, can't you, Brad? You can hear, so that so if you're a beginner or a jam band or whatever, and you want to play that, you know exactly. You don't need to get some chord charts, or if you use your ears, you can hear it. So again, it's something that's a manifesto, if you like. It's becoming a bit of a buzzword for the channel lately, but it's a manifesto of what you can do with a couple of guitars and a bass and a drum set. And we got to remember that a lot of guys and girls have been inspired by these established bands to get out there and do something. So a classic example, Simon, of a do-it-yourself instructional when you're listening to an album, if that makes any kind of sense. Not taking away the creativity of the band, but I love that. I think it's fantastic. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Classic Status Quo.
Oh,
Brad.
Paper Plane, it's something that I've heard for many years. It's been, probably one of the very early Status Quo songs I actually heard.
Oh, wow.
It's a nice, driving, catchy song. It's got that Status Quo thing. They got their chucking 12-bar blues. In particular, I love the vocals on this song. I think they're great. Great dual solo. I love the stops in the middle of the song. I can picture myself driving to this song, and you could get yourself a speeding ticket while you're driving along listening to this one, 100%. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It's never a skip for me.
It's funny you say that. I was doing that yesterday. I was driving around here. It's like we're having it on and finding myself going too fast.
Yeah.
Well, hey. Yeah. And then thinking to myself, so you were doing 40 and a 30. What were you doing, sir? Listening to Status Quo.
Oh, well, off you go, sir. Off you go, sir. You're excused.
Yeah, it's like, and his excuse was, the silly old fool's excuse was that he was listening to Status Quo. Who ever heard of such a thing? But, I think that's, so I completely agree with you about that. The other thing that thing about the two guitars in like very tight, is that AC/DC thing, isn't it? And they're not like AC/DC at all, but that and I agree with Andrew, that Rolling Stones thing as well, but kind of tighter than that. Keith is a bit more moving in around it a bit, whereas these guys are locked in, aren't they? When they're absolutely locked in what I think of as in that classic kind of AC/DC kind of thing, not playing the same stuff, but so yes, I enjoyed my vision of being stopped by the police for going too fast because you're listening to Status Quo. How's this going to go? Not well, is it? Lovely idea. Anyway, so track 7 is All the Reasons by Parfit and Lancaster. Again, a kind of, they do the same thing on the first side as the second side, don't they? They have this kind of slightly more sort of delicate, whimsical song in a way. I think this is lovely. Those twin guitars just playing the harmony line at the beginning. Then you got your pick guitar on its own, just with the vocals. And it not being not afraid to just have a guitar and somebody singing. Is for me a classic case of you're listening to it and deciding whether to put things in, not watching it on a screen and deciding, because I don't think you do it so much these days. But I think the 2-part harmony vocals in the verses, I think that's really good. It's just a delicate little song with a really lovely melody. It's like people don't use the word melody with Status Quo, but again, you turn up at this song and you go, it's got that. Only nearly 2 minutes in is the bass center, over the drums kind of thing, and so it's 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. I think this is a lovely song. I really liked it, and they do it really well. They know about how to play a kind of have that delicacy of touch that I think is really good.
Awesome. Everyone's having a bit of fun in the chat. Apparently, people are volunteering the Rock Professor and Brad to dress up for the next show.
What a status quo!
And Hugh's already dressed up as something already, so it's yeah.
what blonde wigs or something? Those were the days.
Oh, love it. It's fantastic.
Good work, guys. Good work.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Back to work. All the reasons. Okay, so I've got a Brad mind going on here. Reading my notes reminds me of the Stones, the mid-60s Stones kind of vibe going on there, Simon. You know, Lady Jane kind of, between the buttons vibe. Delicate. I love the fact that you mentioned melody. Nothing wrong with it. Again, it's a very good example of a talented band. Really surprised by the song. In fact, the first time I listened to it, I went and listened to it twice because I particularly enjoyed it. Awesome lyrics. Love the lyrics. And the cool solo at the bridge too. It's great song. Would have loved to have seen them play that live in between some of the rockers. Would have been very interesting. You know how Brad likes to talk about contrasting between light and darkness. So If anyone has seen Status Quo, did they do an acoustic set? Because acoustic sets were becoming, or a quieter set. Did I say sect?
God, sect, quite a sect.
Sect,
not
set.
Not that I remember. That I
no.
don't know whether they do. Not as. I don't know. I can find out. But yeah, that's
But yeah, lovely song. I love the fact that it's delicate and it's got a melody. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Brad.
Yeah, well, for all the same reasons you guys have mentioned, but I really love that harmony intro. I'm thinking about the song again. Because of what you said, Andrew, with the Stones thing. It's got me. I've been thinking about it. I'm confused whether I should go through my ranking now or not, because now I'm actually hearing it, which is one of the great things about this show. I guess going last, you get to hear everyone else's explanation of the song and makes you think a bit more about the song. But I love that little harmony intro, the start. It's not something you'd expect. It's done really well. Some really delicate vocals, some really swirly, clean guitar chords. Some nice playing, especially when the song picks up. Very cool harmony solo parts, I thought. And I gave it an 8 out of 10, but I'm going to go back and listen to it now after the show, and my ranking might change. But 8 out of 10 for me. Never a skip.
So John ZD351 says, Crow did some acoustic albums towards the end before Rick passed. That's interesting. That is very interesting. Thank you, John.
The interesting is that they get pegged as a sort of boogie band, but they always had that kind of more of a kind of classic song, doing other kind of song stuff than just straight 12 bars. I think this album proves that exclusively. So we arrive at the last track on side 2. Sort of the big one, if you like, which is a cover of Roadhouse Blues, clearly by the Doors. It's sort of 7.5 minutes long. It's this is classic live Quo, I would say. It's got that it's straight in 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, straight in, and straight into that heavy boogie with the piano. I don't know who's playing the piano. It might be Bob Young actually, but and the lead guitar and the harmonica as well, very much in keeping with it. It's great solo as well. It's got that 2 guitars playing the same riff again, that they do about halfway through, and then you've got the drop down at about 4 minutes, with a got to roll through my soul stuff. Again, it's quite Dawesy. I mean, it follows it pretty closely. I think stretches it out with the solos and things. It's I think this is what I was driving too fast to. But and a big time. It's I've heard people criticize this. Personally, I love it. I think it's fantastic. It's because it's what they do live. It's what they did live then. Really, and they would do cover versions and other people's songs and stuff. So 9 out of 10 for me. Never a skip. Again, it's that thing about being a thing in dynamics, a lesson in dynamics, how to play louder, quieter, have a harmonica solo, have twin guitars, just different parts that can make up make a 7-minute song interesting to me.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Awesome. Hey, Kenneth. Thank you,
Morning,
Kenneth. Always good to see your comments. Guys, before I get into my rankings, I just want to let you know that we're streaming on a couple of platforms, obviously here on our Twitter page and also on our Facebook group too, All About the Blues, home of the British Electric Blues Show. So check us out over there if you haven't already. And don't forget, please, to subscribe to Simon and Brad. And if you guys want to find me on Instagram, if you attach yourself to their Instagrams, you'll find me over there somewhere. And also Hoss, really appreciate the fact that you guys have been with us. We've got 16 people watching us, and it's always humbling and good to see that you guys are having a bit of fun in the chat, because that's what it's about. If we can't have fun, what's the point in doing these shows and hanging out? There's no point, is there? So when I got this album from the Rock Professor, like I said to you guys, I knew nothing about this album and bugger all about the band. And when I saw Roadhouse Blues, I thought, this is going to be interesting. Is it going to be the Roadhouse Blues that I know, or is it going to be another Roadhouse Blues? Because you can't copyright a song title. Then when I put it on, and I couldn't help immediately think of Brad the Backdoor Man, because he is, and Simon and him can fight this one out too, about where they rank on this channel as far as Doors fans
I'm
go.
worried about this fighting bit.
But I am particularly interested in what Brad has to say about the song, because he's played in blues, in Doors tribute bands. He's sung Doors songs, and we've done a few rankings on Doors albums, and we're probably going to do some more. And they've been fun, haven't they, Simon? So I'm particularly interested in what Brad has to say. Look, I've got wow underlined, guys. The harp, when the harp comes in, I'm going believable, absolutely believable. The guitar play is fantastic. I listened to this song half a dozen times, and as the Rock Professor said, it's 7 minutes. But cheapers, it's not a 7. It doesn't sound like it's a 7. It's gone. It's just one of those remarkable things that we like to talk about. Sometimes a 3.5-minute song can sound like a long song for a positive reason, and vice versa. Some of these long songs can just go. I was quite surprised when I had a look at my Spotify and saw Jeepers, it's 7 minutes. Two things, Brad. It's a classic rock and roll song. And we know that bands like performing other bands' songs. It's what we do in rock and roll and the blues. It's what we do. And there are a shitload of good covers out there. There are a lot of covers that are better than the originals. I'm not saying, Brad and Simon, that this is better than the original, but it's one of the best versions of Roadhouse Blues I've heard. I'll have to Brad score this. It's a Brad score. And I love it because of what it made me feel like when I heard it, and it put a big smile on my face. Brad.
Oh, cool.
Wow. Hard to follow that, Andrew. But I have to say, this album was released, in 72, was it?
72, yeah, 72.
So, Morrison sort of passed away, a year or so before that this album was released. So this might have been their little nod to Jim in a roundabout way. And I have to say they did it really respectfully. I'm a huge Doors nut. I don't think I'm going to argue with Simon about that. Because who's the
absolutely not. No, you are.
I don't know whether we can go toe to toe on this anyway, because I think Simon will probably win. So, look, Simon will probably edge out being the expert over me because he actually saw Zeppelin and things like that. So he had that. I saw Page and Plant though twice in '95 or whatever it was, but that's the closest. But going back to the song, I love this version. It's it's always an interesting thing to put a cover version of a band's song on an album. To me, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it as close as you can possibly get it, or you can put your stamp on it. And I think Status Quo really did that quite respectfully. They kept it close to the original. I really like it. It's a rocking version. There's swagger and energy in the delivery. I like the harmonica playing. There's some great guitar playing in it. The band's cooking. They definitely put that Status Quo feel to the song, I think. I really like the way they stretch it out, the improvising along the way. I'll give hats off to them. They did a fantastic job without trying to be the Doors, and they didn't try to sing it like Jim. They didn't try to.
Correct.
That might have been a mistake if they did, in my opinion.
Correct.
I don't think you can try and replicate things. I love hearing a cover version done respectfully, and I gave this a 10 out of 10. Never a skip from me.
Yeah, I think as I play in a covers band, and that the best thing you do is take a song and play it, and then through the prism of you guys doing it, you come out with something that is your own a bit. And I think Status Quo, as you say, Brad, they stayed true to themselves doing it, took the song, played it pretty straight, but actually what comes out is Status Quo, and all those little touches, all the things that they do, all the way the guitar's into playing, all of that stuff, which is, not what the Doors do. Only one guitar player for start. That's tricky, and all and that flashy keyboard stuff. So they turn it into what they would do with it, and I think that's what's really cool about it. That they put it through themselves. But as you say, they don't come up with. It's not some clever arrangement where I do something completely different with it, or something, something that is, I'm going to do a a cappella version 3-part or whatever, kind of thing. We're just going to play it, and we're going to be Status Quo playing it, and therefore it will be, we give something of ourselves into it. We make it our own song, So I agree. It's a great ending, and as I say, a lesson in dynamics, which is fun. So anyway, that's the end of the album, guys. In the days when 8 tracks, 40 minutes, that's what you got, kids. And as you know, I think that's no bad thing. I honestly don't think that's a bad thing.
No, well, the album that we did yesterday in 1984 was 33 minutes long.
Yeah.
So albums don't have to be, like Brad said yesterday, 14 songs or 18 songs.
Yeah.
It's okay. You can get away with that. Like, for example, Guns N' Roses, when they released Appetite for Destruction, the 20th anniversary or the 30th anniversary, where they release, or they did the same thing with All Things Must Pass, Simon, where they give you a lot of the demos and stuff like that. That's all great, on an anniversary issue. But, when you're dropping something great, new, you're right. 8 tracks, fantastic. Simon, this album's been fun. I'm glad that what we do here on this channel is that we produce albums that have emotional attachments for at least one of the co-hosts. So that's what we're about. We're about having fun. And, Simon's presentation on this album was fantastic, and indeed on the band. So I really appreciate all the hard work, because we know what it takes to get through, to remember half these things that Simon has in his mind after 50 years of being, the rock professor.
Very little, yes.
Shaking it about.
That's why I got very little left. Yeah, too much shaking it about.
It's been great, and hanging out obviously with everybody in the chat's always a pleasure. If I remember rightly, guys, I think it's my chat. So remember, if you guys want to be in with the play and you want to know what album we're going to rank, you have to subscribe to Brad's stories and the Rock Professor's stories to find out what the album is. And about Thursday, Friday, I'll do a YouTube card for it if you guys are too lazy to do that.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for indulging me on this. Because as I say, that I don't expect, I like the fact that we delve into these albums, in tales that maybe not everybody knows. It's great to do Cream. I'm not suggesting we don't, but we all know Cream, and that's why Led Zeppelin. It's fantastic. I'm all for you can never have too much Led Zeppelin. There's the catchphrase for me. But I think that these other bands that were around at the similar time doing things like that, that I think it's really great to delve into their catalogues and to have a look and see what they do and things. See if you like them, I think, for me, there isn't a problem. If you've gone, that's not my thing at all, I think that's fine, I think, if you listen to something new and decide it's not your thing, that's much better than, not listening to it, really. So I think if we manage to introduce Andrew to something that he liked, then I'm pleased about that, really pleased.
Look at Rory Gallagher. We did Rory Gallagher's The Irish Tour, and so we all know who Rory Gallagher is, but you'd be surprised how many cats out there who love guitar music and blues don't know Rory Gallagher. A lot of people, Brad, will know Stevie Ray Vaughan, as an example, but there's a lot of guys that, so I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Everyone knows Cream, which, they deserve their position. And, but I didn't know anything about Status Quo. So it's one of the great things that we can do about we can do with this show is that it's all about having fun, as John ZD351 said. If you're not having fun, it's not worth doing. But if we're learning something, hey Brad, if we're learning something,
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
That's good.
Always learning about these bands and everything on these shows it's fantastic. It's like we're getting schooled by the rock professor.
Well, as I say, I've got a list. I've got a list of bands who I think are worth some investigation for us. On this channel. If we're going to do kind of British blues and that sort of thing. I mean, Andrew, from your point of view, I'd never heard that Love Sculpture album before. I don't ever remember hearing it or really knowing anything about it at all. And that I've listened to that, it's great, and so I was really pleased to, I think that's one of the important things for us is to be able to introduce people to things maybe they didn't know about, maybe they hadn't heard, and going back to things like Humble Pie. But as I say, the Love Sculpture thing, particularly the last few we've done, has been fantastic because I didn't really know it, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, cool.
So am I right, guys? It is my pick.
It is your pick.
It is your pick. Yes, it is.
Okay, awesome. So I look forward to that. Guys, it's been great hanging out with the Rock Professor and Brad the Backdoor Man. As usual, I'm going to pass over the last words to my co-hosts, and I think the Rock Professor is going to say thank you to all the rat bags in the chat. But Brad, I'll give you the second to last word, brother, and we'll hand it over to the Rock Prof.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for joining us this week. It's been a really cool show. Been great to deep dive these songs and really get reconnected with this album. It's great. Thanks, Simon, for picking it. And everyone that watches this back later, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And give us a thumbs up and comment in the YouTube link afterwards and help our algorithms. And please share our channel. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. So I'd like to say thanks to Ellen. Ellen, happy birthday for tomorrow. Hope you have a lovely day. And Teresa, of course. Teresa, thank you, Teresa. Glad you're here and well. Arvin, of course. Tim Thomas. Gret Zeppelin. Great name. Helena O'Hara. Thank you, guys. Sonia, of course. Hope you're all right, Sonia. Hope you're well. And the mighty Nelson Rodriguez. Doing some restringing of an acoustic while he's at home, listening to us. What could be better? John ZD351. Thanks, John. Always good to see you, man. And let's see who else. We had some people earlier on, didn't we? Drop in. We had Johnny Bean drop in and Jay 7/8. Thank you guys for dropping in. Hugh Caldwell, of course. Oh, I've got the spinning wheels of doom.
Looks like the rock professor's frozen. He's locked up on us right at the end.
I'm back. Don't panic. So Hugh Caldwell, Johnny Bean, 7/8. I think I've got. If I go back to the beginning, Arvin, John, Sonia, of course. Yeah, I think so. I think I've probably got everybody who's commented. Oh, Wolfgang, 5150. Thanks, Wolfgang, for joining. It's a new name to me, so that's fantastic. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Wolfgang's based in Japan, and so we connected on Instagram. So his English isn't too good, but he, man, this guy produces some stuff on Eddie Van Halen. My gosh, the guy's pretty good. I think he just sleeps with his Wolfgang guitars, Brad, this guy. So, yeah, I'll share you his link, Simon. Check him out.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Good. Thank you. So, yeah, thanks all for joining. Stay safe this week and well, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Yes. Bye.